Hey, what's up? Today is Tuesday, the 4th of June 2024, and I have just completed my third flight lesson. What can I say? I'm just very thankful for what the Lord has blessed me with. This opportunity of pursuing this industry. How well I've been able to perform in just 3 lessons, and also my ability to practice infinitely whenever I'm not actually in the plane with the use of the simulator I have on my computer. I'm very grateful for all that the Lord has blessed me with, and especially today, once again, I get to see how far I've come from that first lesson. And I know it's only the third lesson, but to me, that first lesson was really, it feels like it was a really long time ago. And on top of that, it feels like that just in terms of mentality and my actual practical improvements, I feel that there's just been such an increase, and I'm very proud of how far I've gotten, of how far I've come so far. And the best part of it is that this is just the third lesson, so you know that there's plenty more to go. And right now, the sky is the limit. There really is no reason for me to try and box myself in. All I have to do is keep doing what I'm doing, if not to work harder on top of that, and just just appreciate each moment that I have along the way. So today's lesson was mostly about getting an introduction to power off stalls. Power off stalls, as the name implies, or an approach stall, is more than likely to happen when you're on approach, you have low power, next thing you know, you're not watching your speed, you ended up in a stall situation. That's the point of the power off stall training, so you can know how to recover from an attitude or a situation like that. Now, as I mentioned, my previous flight was a cross country because the plane was still in that break-in period on where we couldn't perform maneuvers on it. But surprise, surprise, that break-in period has completed while I was not flying 1 week later. And now we're able to go back to the maneuvers. That being said, I know that I would have had a struggle with mentality going back to the maneuvers because, of course, going from point A to point B, that's not going to be as daunting as going up and then trying as much as possible to see how you can recover from bad situations. So that being said, I was still very calm. The same way I was calm for the second flight, I maintained that calmness going into this flight. The only issue I had, which I'll get into later, was performing the actual stalls. But from taxiing to taking off to being en route to the training area that we use, it was all very, very calm. I'm very happy that I've been able to just, put my money where my mouth is, and actually remember mind over matter, and believing in myself, and of course having help from up above, having that kind of assurance that yes, there's going to be some kind of fear, but I know that I can get past it. That's really what got me through. And then of course, the more I do it, the less likely I'm going to be afraid of it, if that makes sense. Now, taxiing today was really well done. I'm really happy on how I taxied. And I mentioned before that I keep on veering off to one side when I'm applying brakes, but I think I found out that the issue, which is what me and my instructor assumed it was, is that my feet were not properly set. So when you're taxiing, you're supposed to have your feet, the bottom of your feet are supposed to be on the pedals, almost covering the entire pedals, but your heels are still touching the ground, so you can easily press to one side or the other. But since the ball of your feet is on the pedals, you can just raise it up to your heels, and there you go, your toes are pressing down on the brakes. So that's one position. You also have the takeoff position where your heels are on the ground, fully on the ground, and it's really just the ball of your feet are on the bottom of the pedals, so you can just move the pedals, because when you're taking off, you don't want to accidentally lift your heels up and then apply the brakes. So what I was doing, I'm pretty sure when I was taxiing, I had my feet in a takeoff position. So whenever I had to go to the brakes, I had to not only shift my feet up so I could actually raise them up and press down, I also was probably since I was rushing to do that, that got me into a situation where I was pressing one brake first, and then that escalates into the issues I was having taxiing. But today now, it was very smooth. I did catch myself veering off 1 or 2 times, but I was able to correct it immediately, and then I just feel like I have a lot more control now when taxiing. And of course, I also was doing most of the radio communications today, which it's just something I personally enjoy, especially using VATSIM at home. I'm used to making my own radio calls, so the more chances I get to speak, to key that mic, the better for me. And the only times that my instructor actually chipped in on the radio was when we were on Unicom doing the maneuvers, because he wanted me to focus on actually flying the plane, which is fair, because of course you fly the plane first and then you can worry about communicating. But he said next lesson, I'm going to be on the radios all the time, and what can I say? I'm looking forward to that. I love talking to Tower. I love talking to Approach. I love talking to Unicom. I love using the radios. So others don't like it, but for me, since I had so much exposure on VATSIM ahead of time, it's second nature to me. Second nature. I even have a specific voice for when I'm using the radios, which I'm not able to replicate unless I'm actually using the radio. But you can probably imagine how a pilot sounds transmitting over the radio. But yeah, so the takeoff now, I've also begun to take over when doing takeoffs and landings, just to better prepare me for when we come in to do pattern practice, which is after I'm done and competent with the maneuvers. After each flight, when I'm doing a debrief with my instructor, I have a notebook that I use solely for flight sim, or now real world aviation. I have a notebook and I write my own feedback that I remember throughout the flight. So my previous flight, I knew that, okay, I need to put in a lot more back pressure on the yoke when rotating. And now today, I'm able to actually put that into practice, and now I know how much force I can expect when pulling back. And it was very gusty today, and on slight crosswinds I also had some crabbing practice as well. So once again, that just goes to show you how you have to go the extra mile now with something like this. You have to make sure you write down those notes, because if you don't write it down, who's going to write it down for you? Who is going to go out of their time and remind you? You have to be ahead of yourself. You have to be ahead of the plane. You can't allow yourself to fall back. You can't fall behind the aircraft. That's going to be very bad for you. So I implore you, if you're also pursuing aviation, make sure that you stay ahead of yourself. You have to keep yourself in check. You have to. So takeoff went well. En route to the training area went well. I handled the radios all the way up to the training area, all the way up to Unicom. The weather was very shaky, but it just about held out. At least where we needed it to hold out. It just about held out. And when you get above some of those clouds and you can see that those cells off in the distance, it's like just one of the small things you end up liking about it. Getting a whole new perspective on how weather and stuff like that works. Now the training area, which is to the south of Jamaica, where you have a lot of water and low level ground terrain to fly over. So we reviewed all that I did in the first lesson, which was climbs, descents, turns, level flight, things like that, and also slow flight. Slow flight was the only special maneuver we went over. Everything else was, you'd expect to do that. So now for this flight, we did a quick review of those, and then we spent some time in slow flight. I did more things in slow flight, like doing the climbs and descents. And so into slow flight, and you're at such a close to stall angle of attack, you will need to be managing your pitch. You need to be managing your speed and your altitude, like how you be managing it coming in for a landing. So your left hand on the yoke, elevator input, that's going to manage your pitch, and that pitch manages your airspeed. Your right hand on the throttle, that's going to be managing your power, and of course your power manages your altitude. So pitch for speed, power for altitude, left hand for pitch, right hand for power. But yeah, after the slow fly now, we went into the power off stall. Now the power off stall, when my instructor demonstrated it, was a lot more gentle than I was anticipating. It makes me wonder how much different I could do it in the simulator now to replicate that gentle of a brake. But the stall, it was very gentle. It was like you're going over a little bump, and then you just go back down, and then you're flying away again. Now when I did it now, of course it's my first time, it wasn't as gentle, but a lot better. I guess a lot better. It could have been a lot worse. That's how I'll say it. It could have been a lot worse. And really and truly, the plane does not want to stall. Your plane will not want to stall. I had to put in a lot of back pressure to get the plane in a pitch where it will actually brake and stall. Sometimes I just assumed it already stalled and just started putting forward too early. But yeah, not the best, but it's the first lesson with power off stalls. So I'm looking forward to just practicing on the simulator now. Now that I know what to look out for, and just knowing that, hey, it's gonna get better from here on out. And the recovery as well, I made notes of it. I need to not push the nose past level flat attitude. So all I'm doing is when this plane stalls, make sure I'm controlling the nose, push it down a little, get to that level attitude, and then at level attitude I'm going to put in back full power, and then of course slowly retract the flaps. But yeah, that was my first experience with power off stalls. A lot to look forward to in future lessons. I'm definitely having to get used to the G forces though. That's my main fear right now, I guess, when it comes to maneuvers. Getting used to the G forces. The G forces for sure. When if you make a bad stall and you just go, I found myself just holding my breath in sometimes when the brake happened. I was just like waiting on my body to settle back in. But it's you know, it's expected. It's expected. First time for everything. And now I can just go home, practice again until my next flight. And the feedback from my instructor has been very positive, so I know that I'm doing something right. So I just need to keep it up, if not for push myself harder, and I know that I'll be on my way. And who knows, maybe in next 6 months or so, you'll see me with, instead of a student license, you'll see me with a private pilot license. Once again, I'm very grateful for the blessings the Lord has given me. I never would have imagined that I would have been able to actually pursue this the way I'm pursuing it now, and having as much fun and progressing as quickly as I am. And it can only get better from here. That's all I'll say. You can only get better from here. So thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far in the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up with my journey in becoming a pilot in Jamaica. Remember to always be improving. My name's Robert Watson. I'll see you again very soon. God bless.
Yeah. I only tell you the truth. I ain't got nothing to lose. Yeah, I gave my life to God and I'm still ballin'. Ain't nobody that can tell me I ain't all in. Late at night I hear the devil steady calling me. That's when I pray to the Father that He give me strength to fight these monsters.